The relationship between WWE and 2K over the video game, the relationship is apparently seriously strained according to the recent articles. We're going to go through all of this and the news going on with WWE 2K right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Assemble. I'm Matt. Good to see you and great to have you here on the show. It's Monday. We come in fresh off the heels of CM Punk showing up over at Rampage. We got SummerSlam in the books. Becky Lynch made a return, turning heel apparently. That was something, wasn't it? Brock Lesnar came back with big beef man ponytail. That's a scary fella. And WWE 2K22 showed off their trailer, and we covered that night. Thank you all so much for supporting that episode. Now let's talk about the latest news and rumblings coming out of the world of WWE 2K22. We thought it'd be all quiet till January. We thought we'd get nothing. We thought it'd just be silence. It's not silent, is it? Sports Gamer Online had a detailed breakdown regarding what's going on internally with 2K and WWE in the relationship. And then this article is actually what I'm pulling from, is over at Wrestle Talk. Please go check them out. So like I said, the updated trailer that we saw with superstars give us a glimpse, like a little tiny bit of the superstars and the game, with no actual gameplay in there, but giving us a little bit of a rough overview of the game, saying that it is slated to release in March of 2022 and that fans can expect brand new updates for the game coming out in January. Now, the article we're talking about talks more in depth at Sports Gamer Online regarding the status and kind of what's going on with the devs and the internal happenings of WWE and 2K and their whole relationship, and that things are not really great. The report states that WWE wanted 2K22 to come out during its normal Survivor Series window ahead of the Christmas market. While 2K pushed for the delay, 2K Games allegedly blamed WWE's mass releases for the delay, as they would have given the game the most outdated roster a game has seen. Now, coming off the heels of SummerSlam and hearing that the game is going to be coming out around March of 2022, this lines up with what I was thinking, what a lot of you were thinking in the community, that the roster and the cuts that have been going on for the last year now significantly impacted the game, and putting 2K, it seems, in a position where they needed to delay this game even further. Now, the actual article goes on to talk about some quotes and some perspectives on the devs being strained, not enough people working on the game, that they're stretched too thin and things like that. And it starts to line up a little bit more with kind of the narrative that's been playing out online, that we've all been wondering about this game, where is it? And right around the time when a lot of these cuts initially started happening and coming out, that's where the dev diary stopped for 2K22. That's where we stopped getting any of the tweets and updates. And it seemed like from there on, it was completely silent, and only until SummerSlam did we actually get a release window. The report goes on to say that the two parties have had a number of meetings, and that WWE is now threatening to find a new publisher, and that WWE has made it known, almost annoyingly so, how much this game means to the future of the franchise. Sports Gamer Online also reports that 2K Games is currently understaffed and underfunded, and that there is constant worry that they won't get the game right, considering the disaster that was WWE 2K20. And this is a real shame, and with a pushed out release date of March of 2022, I think a lot of us would feel like, okay, you've had an extra year or so to actually get this game out. Now we're not getting it out in the Survivor Series window around the October season, right before the holidays that they're used to, that WWE would want to be able to get that revenue in the last quarter of the year. Now to push this thing out to March, they want to be able to get the best product out. Nobody wants to make a bad video game, and they want to be able to service a great game to fans, and they needed all this extra development time. But with WWE making all these giant changes to the roster, to NXT getting overhauled now to a completely developmental system, and with, on that note, with 6-7 months to go until this game is going to launch, NXT itself is going to look like a completely different product. It's going to be a developmental system from everything we've heard, even from the recent interviews with Nick Khan, talking about how this is going to a developmental system, and it's not going to be the same in a matter of weeks from now, from when we're recording this. And that all leads into a entirely different conversation about what the game will look like with the brands, with NXT, and will that even be in the game I'm gonna save that for a whole other episode on how we're gonna speculate about what the future of NXT will be in relation to 2K22. This is rough because, again, if the developers are strained, understaffed, underfunded, and all of that, and WWE is pushing them to get this game out, that's a lot, and it's unfortunate. And on WWE's side, they want to hit that end of year push from the game coming out and getting that extra revenue out during that slot that they're kind of always banking on. It's a massive chunk of their marketing. It's a massive chunk of their revenue that they get every year. Obviously, I'm talking outside of what they get for their TV deals and everything else, but on the video game side, for, you know, their merchandise sales, they have all of that. It's another big revenue stream that WWE gets every single year, that 2K gets, obviously, as a publisher. But with it being pushed out, that this is going to change things. You can see why WWE would be mad, but at the same time, if you're 2K and you're the developers, you know that 2K20 was an absolute disaster and you need that game to do well. It seems like, based off of this and all the rumblings and everything we hear and read online, there is the possibility that this game was initially given the go-ahead to have an extension from 2K and WWE to get it, you know, over a year and a half of releasing 2K22. And since they were not ready to actually release this thing, even now, in large part, because of all of the cuts, based on what this article is saying, it's turning into this really like tense situation, right? Where WWE themselves may pull out and grab a new publisher even going into next year. So once this game comes out, WWE might already be shopping for a new publisher to work on their next game. And if they see how it actually comes out and how it plays out with 2K22 in March, a lot of eyeballs are going to be on this, not only from the fans' perspective and the gamers, but WWE themselves are going to be looking really closely at how this game performs. It's pretty crazy to think about that 2K has been working on this game and all of the previous games for so long now. And with all the problems that 2K20 had, you would think that WWE would understand that they want their video game to be the best possible. But from the business side of things, you understand too that they want to be able to get that thing out as quickly as they can and hit those dates and hit those marks. And now they're not, and they're getting it right around WrestleMania season, which, to be honest, if they get that extra time, and if 2K can deal with the amount of superstars that are leaving, they can adjust things, they can keep the game updated and fresh through development up until we get really close to launch, because around that January, February time, it's got to be locked and loaded and ready to go for March. If they can get that game up to a point where it's as fresh as it's going to be, and the modes are there and the gameplay is there and it's solid, I think fans will be happy, and that would hopefully keep the relationship going. Or WWE is going to start shopping. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this? Do you think that this is really going to impact the relationship between WWE and 2K and this franchise going forward? Do you think it's possible that this is going to be maybe the last game that we see from 2K with WWE? This makes things all more interesting for the AEW game, doesn't it, for next year? And we got a little bit of a head-to-head going on. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'm Matt here on Assemble. Thank you so much, by the way, for getting us to 4,000 subscribers. You guys are all fantastic for supporting the show. And as always, thank you all for assembling with us. See ya.